Hey Rip City, this is Tumani Kamara, and you're listening to the Blazers Balcony with Brooke Olzendam and Casey Holdahl.
Greetings, Blazer fans, and welcome to the Blazers Balcony presented by Spirit Mount Casino. Episode 167 of the Blazers Balcony presented by Spirit Mount Casino. I'm Casey Holdahl. I'm joined by my friend and coworker, Brooke Olzendam. Brooke, how are you going? How you doing? Going. Is going? How you going? Is that a thing? Probably not.
It might be like a British thing. How you going? Or no, maybe Australian.
That does sound, whatever. Yeah, that you're right, Brooke. That is what it is.
I'm going good. I'm doing good. And I'm doing good. No, I'm good. Obviously, bummer that the season is over, but what a run. Cannot complain at all. Getting a game in that series against the Spurs was awesome. I mean, I'll remember that game forever.
Yeah.
You wish it would continue, obviously, but it's, I'm proud of the guys. I will continue to watch the postseason just because I'm an NBA junkie, but kind of a bummer not to be able to root on our guys, but still very proud of them. And that's how I am right now. That's how I'm going, Casey. That's how I'm going.
That's how you're going. Well, that's good, Brooke. Yeah. Disappointing that the season is over. Trailblazers having their postseason, their first postseason 5 seasons ended with let's see, what did they lose? 114. It was like 115. They lost to the Spurs in Game 5 in San Antonio on Tuesday in the series 4-1. I agree, Brooke. I think a successful season. We'll talk about exit interviews. We'll talk about just kind of our thoughts on the season. We'll talk a little more about the playoffs. But I think the main takeaway is that, it was a good year for this team. They were able to win while also still developing players. They got back into the postseason, getting the 7th seed, winning that play-in game. I think, obviously, a real step forward for this squad. A lot of room for growth still, but it feels like they're on a good track right now. The only thing I would say, it would have been nice winning that game, you're right, it was a great game, such an awesome night for Scoot. Would have been nice if that was at home. That was my only thing. Going to a series versus a team like the Spurs that won 60 games, it's going to be a tough series. That it's going to be a real long shot to win it either way. At least in the West. In the East, the fake playoffs they got going on over there, who knows what's going to come out of the East and lose to the whatever team comes out of the West. That I guarantee whichever team wins the championship this year, it's going to be out of the West. There's like 4 teams in the West that I think would beat the best team in the East right now. But they're not the Trailblazers.
That aside.
No, but with that aside, it would have been nice to get one home game win. But otherwise, I think that it was they made progress this season. They made progress in the playoffs. They obviously endured a lot of adversity with the coaching change and then the injuries. They managed to stay afloat, stay together. Never got to a point where everyone hated each other, which can happen on teams sometimes if things go bad or if there's just a lot of hard times and you struggle at times. They always stayed together, which I think is really important. And it was a fun little playoff run. I wish it would have been longer. Again, we could have gotten a home win. But I think all in all, you feel pretty satisfied about the way the season went. Again, it's not... You're not satisfied by it because the goal is to be a team that is competing for a championship. But in terms of what they were able to get accomplished this year, particularly in relationship to what you assume was going to happen at the start of the year, I think all in all, you feel pretty positive about the way things went, Brooke.
Oh gosh, no, no question. I mean, super positive, overly positive. It was for you and I, Casey, who's when I started, you had obviously worked with the organization a couple more years before I did, a number of years, but we became accustomed to going to the playoffs, right, with Dame and CJ, and then Nurk coming in a little bit later, and it was blissful, we're going to get to the playoffs, that's no question. 1 year get to the Western Conference Finals, it was just this is how it is. This is great. This is wonderful. And this was me coming from the Indiana Pacers, so we went to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I was like, this is really fun. Getting to the playoffs is that's what we do. That's wherever I go, that's what we do. And then unfortunately, there were some rebuilding years, and that the playoffs were not a part of the conversation. So this is really more of a love letter to the fan base that they stuck with this team no matter what, when they were at their highs, when they were at their lows. And I will remember Game 3 and Game 4, even though the Blazers did not win those at home, the atmosphere in Moda Center was like something I will never forget. That first half was wow. I mean, of game four, well, I am game three really, but there was just it was such an excitement. Like everyone's like been thirsty for this. Like what this is what just to get back to that feeling like there's something to play for. It was electric for me, and I was just so proud of those guys. Like there was so much adversity, as you just mentioned, coaching change and then all the injuries. And they never had excuses for it. They said, and I remember there was one interview I did with Denny where he said, actually, it was the interview where my mic died and we had to run over and grab headsets. And
sure.
it was his birthday, and he had a triple double, and it was mayhem. And he said, we deal with injuries, we deal with illnesses, we deal with family stuff, and everyone has it, but we never let it get us down, and we never let it affect our play. And I just remember that when we said that, I'm like, that's so true. Like they don't make excuses. So I cannot say anything, but it was a huge success this year. I mean, obviously you'd want to get to the second round, third round, whatever, but you can't take away anything from these guys and the coaching staff and what they were able to do this season. It was beautiful. Like I just was like, these guys and we talked about it before, there is no quit in them. They can be down 17, 19, whatever. And they still, a couple of games, as we saw, found a way to win. And even in the games they lost in this series, they had rough nights shooting. We know that, but we saw that. But they still were competitive. They were not. They tried to find other ways to win, and I saw. Rob Williams was just unreal. He's my MVP for the series, and just like certain guys, kind of stepped up when they needed to, and I was just really proud. I don't know. That's kind of the only word I can think of, but I can only say this season was a pleasant, I don't want to even say surprise, because I thought that they were going to be successful, but to see like what they were able to accomplish with all the things up against them, it was just a pleasure. And I enjoyed this season. Like this is one of my favorite seasons, actually.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, Brooke. Just a good group of guys playing hard basketball, like really trying their best, improving defensively, which again, that was something that throughout the last couple seasons, people were like, boy, can we stop being such a terrible defensive team? And they were able to do that. It did come, it seems like, I won't say it at expense of the offense, but, some areas, some room for growth there, particularly with shooting. And I think, we knew that shooting was an issue for this team going into the playoffs. And any issues that you have during the regular season are going to get especially highlighted in the playoffs. And I think that's what we saw versus the Spurs. The Blazers shot, I think, like 25% from three in that game 5. I think 30% from three for the series. Like that's, again, in today's NBA, it's just really hard to win when you're not even a league average 3-point shooting team percentage wise. So, that's an area where they're obviously going to need to improve, and they'll address that either, in terms of personnel or with internal development, which I think is important. I think there's guys on this team that can become better shooters. I thought that's one of the things that Jeremy said. He's like, there's some things this team needs, but I also think that like there's guys on this team that could just evolve into better shooters, as Jeremy did, as he went out throughout his career as well. So, there's room for actual internal growth there, which I think is a great place to be when you're a young team, but also experiencing a little bit of success. They did lose that game, by the way, 114-95. And those game 5s, like they basically only go one of two ways. Either the road team comes out and gets it up to a big lead and wins it and sends it back to their house for game 6, or the home team jumps out to a big lead and closes the series out. Like it always goes one of the two ways. It's never like a good game, in my opinion. Like it's either a blowout either way. And that's what we saw, unfortunately, in that game 5, and not a whole lot about that to rehash anyways, but just a season where you saw a number of guys take a step. I think obviously, I think you saw Donovan really kind of took that next step, and him having a hard time in the playoffs doesn't negate all of the kind of the growth that he made this season. I think that's an important thing to remember too, is that it makes sense that the playoffs feel more important at the end of the year. One, because they are important, and two, it's the thing that you end your season on. And so I think sometimes it's easy, or there's just a predilection to take what happened in the playoffs and then forget everything that happened in the regular season and be like, well, this is who you are in the playoffs. And so, yeah, Donovan had a rough stretch in the playoffs, but that doesn't change who he is as a player and what the growth that he made. Shaedon didn't probably get as much run as I think some people probably wanted to see in the playoffs. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to be a part of this team going forward, or a big part of this team going forward, I should say. Denny, teams locked down on him a little bit more. That doesn't take away all of the growth and the skills that he developed throughout the season, particularly when they were really down a number of guards and Denny had to be the point guard. So it's important to take lessons from the playoffs and know that like those are the things you need to address at times to be successful in the playoffs. That's absolutely true. It doesn't take away from things that guys improved upon. And it doesn't mean that like they're not good at those things anymore or they're not good players. It just means that wasn't necessarily a great matchup for them and that a lot of these guys were getting their first playoff experience and it's just a different level. And the Spurs, a lot of those guys were getting their first playoff experience as well. But you're talking about top 5 picks for like 3 or 4 guys who were in their first playoffs. That's a little bit different than guys who are, 7th pick and the 10th pick, and it's just a different level of kind of what you've experienced throughout the early parts of your career. So I think, again, just generally a successful season for the team. You would have hoped to have played a few more playoff games, but I think that series went generally about the way people thought it would. But just a good place to I won't say start necessarily, but a good place for this team to be at this point in time in their growth and their kind of rebuild. So I think you saw a lot of good things and again, a lot of reasons for optimism. And for me, like not a lot of reasons for being like, oh boy, we're screwed going forward. Like sometimes in the playoffs or at the end of the regular season, maybe stuff happens and you're like, boy, are we kind of stuck now? Like it seems to me like this team has a lot of different options for where it can go. They have assets, they have vets, they have really good young players. Like they can play it any number of ways. And I think that's a pretty good place to be. They're not back against the wall. Like, boy, we got a bunch of veteran guys. We're right up against the tacks and the apron. We can't really make any moves. So like these guys are just gonna have to play better next year because we don't have a whole lot of path to improvement. And just the opposite way too, where it's like, boy, we're just all young guys and we're just gonna have to continue to take our lumps and hope that guys develop and come around because we're just gonna have to we don't have the talent or the veterans in order to be competitive right now. They're not there either. So like they're in that in-between spot, but they're in an in-between spot where they can still move up. That, and I think that's kind of, I guess the last thing I would say about that is that there's always this idea of like, well, in the NBA, you don't want to be in the middle. And, there's definitely some truth to that, but you don't want to be in the middle without any way to get better. And I feel like the Blazers are in the middle right now with a lot of ways to get better. And I think that's not a bad place to be as you're kind of continuing to try to build a team to be competitive going forward. So again, still lots to be done. Still a season that you felt good about, but not necessarily, knowing that you want more. But still, you did a lot of the things you wanted to see this season. You have a path to future success and to improvement. And you already won more games than you won last year, and you ended your postseason drought, which a lot of people didn't expect would happen. So all in all, yeah, it's a pretty successful season for a team like the Trailblazers.
Well, not to mention that the Spurs are so deep and shut the lights out. And against a team like that, and Tiago said it before, you have to have a small, what does he say? Margin for error. You have to have a small margin for error when you're playing, especially games like that in the playoffs against a team like that. And I was in awe at a time, like you and I talked about this before we went on, like could do some damage in this playoff series, or not playoffs, in the postseason in general. They're just so stacked and I believe well coached. And by the way, did I ever tell you that I interviewed Mitch Johnson, their head coach, when he was at O'Day High School? He was in high school.
You've told me that story like 10 times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, and it's a good story. Don't get me wrong. Like, and I even thought about that too. I was like, oh, like if Brooke was covering these games, like she could be like, hey, Mitch, like remember the time that we talked in high school? And because he also got a question about like Washington basketball at some point in time. And I remember thinking, I was like, oh yeah, Brooke could have talked to him about this.
I could have chimed in about lovely guy. And like when I talked to him this season, like when I was like, do you remember it? Like, again, Casey, you know the story because I've told it 10 times.
That's unfair of me. You haven't told the podcast, so.
And I went up to him. I was like, do you remember when he's like, of course. And my mom's friend was really good friends with his dad, JJ Johnson, who played for the Sonics. And so we did a story like father, son, like, it was really cool. And again, he was like 18 years old. So I was like, do you remember me? He's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah. I go, how you doing? Do you like in San Antonio? He's like, I love it. I got 4 kids. I was like, oh my God, you have 4 kids. Like, it just was mind blowing because this kid, I remember the last time I saw him, he was 17 years old and walking around O'Day High School, talking about, basketball and his dad. And now he's the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs and he's got 4 kids. It was just mind blowing. Like that's just the NBA and basketball is just such a small world. But my point is that team, like they've got a lot, they are very talented and props to our guys for, hanging in every single game. Sometimes it felt like it was getting away, but they didn't let it get away, i.e. Atlanta Hawks last night. Oh my gosh. That was insane. But I would just, as you mentioned, there's so many positive things to take away from it. It's not like, oh no, look at all these cracks in the team like that we got to figure out. There always will be, but they can work on them. They can improve on them. And they can get better. And shooting is something you can always get better at. Yeah. And I know it's not a strong suit for this team right now. Defense, I think, is. Everyone always say that wins championships. Like the defense is I think where you start, and this team has been so impressive defensively. And then you just add, if you can, add the shooting, add the offense, just trickle that in there a little bit next year. And I think this team could be dangerous. I remember watching, because I watch everything, every single game that I can, unless I'm in soccer, and I watch it on my phone. And national media is like, this Trailblazers team, and they're scrappy. Yeah. They got a lot of credit. They got a lot of love during this postseason, rightfully so. So I'm with you. I take a lot of positives away from this, and I think it's a really great place to start next year when they get the gang together, whoever will maybe that, look back and think of how far they came this season, and then just start with that and continue to build on it, because I think they really showed a lot of people what they're capable of doing, like with the play-in, and then that first round, getting a game from the Spurs, 1B or not, like it's still impressive, especially with a team that, was just in the play-in and had to fight their way into that 7th spot. So I walked away with that feeling bummed that we didn't get a couple more games. I would have loved for them to come back and play one more time.
Yeah, that game 3, I think that one might sit with guys for a little bit. Just that was a missed opportunity. And if they had won game 3, they would at least forced a game 6. We got one more game back home. You don't want to get eliminated at home either, but hey, you might win that game too. So it would have been nice just to get one more at home. And again, I just wish we could have won a game at home, because to your point, Brooke, like the fans deserve that. Like they really have supported this team, obviously throughout the years, but even like more recently too, like just really great crowds in the building. They were awesome during the playoffs. Like it just would have been nice to reward all that support with at least one win at home. But that's how it goes. But it would have been nice.
No, it would have been nice. There were a few sprinkled around Spurs fans, not too many, but my dad and I were at game 3 in my seats, and I have to give a shout out, and it's not a good shout out, to Aaron Fentress, because his son, who's very nice, very sweet, dad's right next to me, brought his friend who is a Spurs fan.
Oh, he is his father's son. I'll just say that.
Well, again, Fentress' son, very nice, and I've met him before. And I'm like, what are you doing with this guy? What are you doing with this Spurs fan? He's like, I know, he's my friend. He's a Spurs fan, whatever. Well, we just happen to be sitting 2 behind them. Like my seats, there are 2 in front of us. They're the front row of the corner, right where Bosman is and all that. And this dude, oh my gosh, like my dad wanted to, tell him to sit down a couple times. I was like, no, Dad, just, we can't do that. We can't do that. Finally, I was like, do it. Like, yes, do it. This guy was being so obnoxious. He was, and I'm all for, like if I were a Blazers fan and I went to a game on the road, I am a Blazers fan. If I went to a game on the road and I wasn't working, of course I'd be cheering, but I wouldn't be a spectacle. I would not be like in people's faces. And this guy was doing all of the things. And I mean, the attendant in our section came down. She's like, "Do I need to kick him out?" I was like, I'm not telling you to kick anybody out, but can you just keep an eye on him? You know, like, because he was just like out of control. And so finally, like, the game was in there. It was clear that they were going to win the game. Like, it was like a couple of minutes, you know, to go. And he sat down because my dad told him to sit down. And then he's smiling. He looks around. And he's giving everyone a thumbs up, like, just to antagonize everyone. And he looks at me and we make eye contact. And I go, "Stop it." he goes, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Well, I should have said that hours ago," because it was the worst. But I will say, then the next game 4, I brought my mom, and these two guys sitting next to us were Spurs fans, but they were quiet. They were like just talking to each other, like kind of like not even really, like, they never stood up there. And at the end of the game, I go, "I just want to tell you, I'm really disappointed we didn't win this game and you did win the game, but you were very respectful throughout this entire game. And I just really want to thank you for that."
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, we just want to watch good basketball. We didn't want to get anyone's way." And I was like, "Well, let me just tell you, there's a guy here last game that was the opposite of you. And I respect and appreciate you so much." But the reason I even brought that up is because, to your point, the fans were amazing. Like, they were so into it. They were so excited. The pregame, like, I got there like 2 hours early to do a TV interview. And the commons were packed.
Yeah.
Commons were packed. It was, I mean, a beautiful day out, and everyone was, there was a sense of like, oh, like I said earlier, we've been waiting for this for so long, and they deserved that. And I totally agree with you that I wish we would have won one at home for them, but it still was an amazing atmosphere. And even the games on the road, and I mentioned this last time, but the watch parties were like, it felt like your whole family is like Thanksgiving, around the TV watching a game together and all rooting for the same team and just being like a family. You just met them that day, but it was just like, it still felt like family. Like, it was a feel good moment for these fans, and they deserve it so much. I wish they would have got a win at home, but at least, like, it was just like everyone kind of got together. Everyone was like simpatico, and it was beautiful. And I just can't wait for more to come. And I think that you're right. We're on the right track, and next year, even better.
Yeah. I wonder if the guy in game 3, I'm pretty sure he was wearing a Blazer jersey. But I wonder if because I think it was in your section, because I think you were, I sit at top of section 114, and so you're right over there. They did walk a guy up at the end of the game, and he was yelling.
I know that story.
Okay.
My mom was sitting up there. Her and Scott sat in that same section, but up right next to that guy. He got arrested. It seemed to me like it was going that direction. Like, he definitely was. He was still really hot when he was getting shoved out now. And you can always kind of tell sometimes, like, when security gets there and you're walking up, you kind of like have a chance to like slow down and be like, "Oh crap." This guy was going the other direction. He was like, "Ah!" And I was like, You might end up in the back of a police car tonight, sir. You did, because the next game, the same gal that was our attendant for our section, I hope that her and I were on the same page with this guy. She's like, "I hope he's not here tonight." I'm like, or today, because it was that 12:30 game. I was like, "I hope he's not here," because I'm going to go up to him and I'm going to say, "Can you please be more respectful today?" I had this whole plan of what I was going to say. And she's like, I don't see him down there. And he wasn't there. But she did tell me, she goes, "Well, the guys that got sent out up here up to the right, they got arrested." I was like, "No way." She's like, "Oh yeah, they sent out, and they thought they were just going to walk out, and the cops were waiting for them, and they went to the slammer."
Wow. Okay.
I don't know what they did. I didn't see any of it, but my mom said it was quite a scene.
Yeah, no, he was mad, and he was ready to fight. And I'm guessing that maybe that is what happened. Yeah, there were, to your point, there were some Spurs fans that were sitting right next to me, not right next to me, but like in the next aisle over, and like when I looked this way, like they're right there. And like, they were loud and cheering for the team, but like they were cheering for the Spurs. Like, and that's, I think we've talked about it before. It's like, just cheer for your team. Yeah. Like, and if someone's giving you some crap, like give it back to them. Like, and I'm always like, I'm probably a little hypersensitive to it. Like when I'm kind of looking out over the section I'm in, I always kind of pay attention to like, are there any Blazer fans being jerks right now? And if so, like, I'm going to be like, "Hey man, like, can you dial it back a little bit? Like, it's one thing to like cheer for the team and kind of, have a little back and forth, and that can be fun, but don't be a jerk. Like, and just like, don't make this more aggressive than it needs to be." And like, they were happy for the Spurs. They were cheering them on, but it wasn't like they were being loud, but they weren't like getting in people's faces or like kind of like trying to instigate things with people. And I was like, yeah, that's good. Like that's a good fan right there. And also like when people are like, they shouldn't be here. It's like, well, don't sell them your tickets then. Like that's on you.
The thing that bothered me about this guy, not only was he like would turn around and like point at us like after like that's right, you get used to it, like whatever, okay, you're kind of taunting and that's fine, whatever. But then the thing that really put me over the edge was like that tunnel, like people go back to go to the bathroom, right? So like Blazers fans are just like a guy by himself, a lady by herself, and he'd be like, "Oh, you're leaving? Where are you going?" And these people don't like, they're like, "What? Like, who's this guy?" And he like yelled at him. And so they come closer to him because they think he's talking to them, but he's just like saying, "You're probably not coming back because you're going to lose." And they're like, "I'm just going to the bathroom."
Yeah, I'm going to get something to drink.
Like,
yeah.
You're like yelling at people, getting their attention. They're coming over to say, "Sorry, what?" And then it was just too much. I was like, leave these people alone. Like you don't have to go above and beyond to like antagonize people. Like you can just cheer for your team. And that's fine. I mean, like I said, cheering is great, but like when you're going overboard to get someone's attention to yell at them, you're not even coming back because your team's going to lose and they're just going to the bathroom. It was like, bro, just chill, chill.
Yeah.
So anyways, Aaron Fentress, you got to talk to your son. Tell him his friend is no longer allowed in Moda Center, or I'm going to have to say it.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. It's that tracks exactly. The other thing that happened at the game, Brooke Olzendam getting Jamba juices for the entire arena. She did a great job. That's all I'm going to say. She did a great job. I probably gave her too many pointers, both before and after, which I shouldn't have done. But Brooke got it done. She won the Jamba, and I was proud of you, Brooke. So yes, congratulations. Even though I usually get a stack of coupons that I then am responsible to distribute to the rest of the media, I didn't. I did not get any Jamba coupons this time, Brooke. So even though I'm glad that you won, I didn't get my free Jamba this time. And I was just down in Tualatin yesterday. Like that's my home Jamba.
Well, I had like a bunch of people on X say thanks for the Jamba tickets, and then a couple of people are like, "Wait, what? I never got mine." So I don't know what happened with that, but I'm not in charge of distributing.
No, Brooke doesn't distribute. She just wins the contest.
Yes. No, but no, I wouldn't say I did a good job. I would say I got the job done. I wouldn't say it was a good job. So my dad and I went to Moda Center the night before to practice, like to get a vibe, like how it was going to feel. And he even said, he goes, "Don't be upset when you probably are going to start with an air ball." I'm like, no way. I'm going to start with an air ball. Like I was a good basketball player. I mean, I shot threes, but I played no defense, but I was a decent basketball player. And we get up there, and it was so funny because all like people were putting the towels on the seats. Like there was like 8 to 10 people doing that. I was like, "Don't look, don't watch that." I was like, "Wait a second, I probably should have them because this is going to be a packed house when I do this." But anyway, so the first one, air ball. Second one, air ball. 3 air ball. I was like, "Golly, I feel like I'm giving this all I have." And it's like, so it was good that I did that. I was really happy that we did that because I realized that it's further away than you think, and the ball is bigger than the one I played with in high school, obviously. So, but my first one was like garbage. And I was just, the nerves, like I was like, when I tell you I was so nervous, I've never been more nervous for anything in my life than this. I laid in bed at night, 3 nights prior, second night prior, first night, definitely the first night. I was thinking about this 24/7 because, as you know, I don't like to disappoint people or let people down. And I was like, if I don't give an entire level Jamba, I'm going to lose it. So to be quite honest, I thought I was feeling good. Like I was nervous, but I was feeling good. Like I went, like I said, the night before to practice. So I thought I'd get 3 in a decent amount of time. I think it was my 4th one that I finally made the first.
Yes.
4th shot, I made the first one. I was like, phew, at least I saw it go in. Okay. Then there was like 5 or 6, and then finally got the second one. I was like, phew. And then I'm like, oh crap. Like I thought I was going to do this way earlier. Like this is getting crunch time. And I hear Bosman go 10 seconds. I'm like, and I did not realize I had moved up as much as I had, Casey. I thought I was still at the free. Actually, at one point I looked down and I did see, and I did scoot back to the free throw line.
You did. I noticed that too. Hey, it's not against the rules if they don't call it. So
well, I'll tell you something in a second. So I finally made the 3rd one. And when I felt that was truly my emotions like falling out of my body. Like I was like, oh, And I just like everything like came. I mean, I was not planning that whatsoever, but as soon as that third one went in, I was like, oh my God. I just fell to the ground because I was like, so the relief I felt was, I can't even explain it. It was euphoric. I was like, thank God. Well, not euphoric because it was actually out of fear, but it was a moment. But I was like, oh, thank God. And like everything, I just like was so thankful that I got the third one. But it was funny afterwards. I was walking out through the tunnel, just like sweating and like a ball of nerves still. And Bosman was like, hate to tell you, but you were not on the free throw line, so no one's getting down.
Yeah.
I was like,
insurance says we can't hand out. It's part of the deal. Like you if you go over the line, we have insurance agreements that cover these things. And if they file a claim, be like, hey, she was over the line, that doesn't work. I mean, if you were shooting for a Toyota, you don't get that Toyota. But I think there's a little more leeway with the Jamba free throw shooting contest. So I was very proud of you, Brooke. You did it.
Thank you. I honestly I don't know if I said this on the last one. I don't think so because it was after, but I was asked to do this and I said, I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't want to, like, again, I don't want to disappoint anyone. And I was not allowed to say no. Bosma was like, don't wear heels and get in the gym. I'm like, oh my gosh, Bosma's making me do this. So it was one of those things where like, I probably, if I could have gotten out of it, I would have, because I was so nervous. But when I was like, I didn't want to let Bosma down.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I'm doing it. So it was truly a terrifying experience. I never want to do it again. I did have someone at Langer's yesterday, as I told you, come up and say, you got me and my girlfriend Jamba Juice last game. I was like, I'm so sorry it took so long. He was like, well, the anticipation was exciting. It's like, that's a nice way of saying, could you do it faster?
And there's a Jamba right over by the Langers. It's
there is.
Yeah.
There is. I've been there many times. Renee, he runs it. That's my son's soccer coach. He runs that Jamba.
Oh, no kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got to keep that quiet. They're going to think that like there's some collusion going on there.
Oh no, there's no collusion. Yeah. I promise you that. No, it was so funny though because Michael Holden, as you think you were there, he gave me some pointers and he's like, you got to get the ball in your hands before you get out there in the tunnel. Get the ball in your hands and just kind of become one with the ball. Feel it. Throw it against the wall. Dribble it a little bit. So I was doing that. And like fans were walking back from the bathroom. Maybe some of the fans that were heckled. No, wrong game. But they were walking back from the bathroom. And they're like, "Are you going to do the half court shot?" I was like, "No, I'm doing the free throws." They're like, "Oh, you better get all three." I'm like, "Stop!" Like the pressure I felt like from Casey, number one pressure. Like I can't tell you how many times Casey said, "You have to get this because mine are expiring. You have to get this." And I would say, "Casey, stop! Like I already know. Like trust me. I feel the pressure. You don't need to put more on." And then,
that's what a good friend does, right? Is make you feel worse about something you're already concerned about. What a good friendship.
But then everyone else was that in broadcasting, they had heard, we get an email saying from Bosma saying what the whole plan of the night is for game ops. And it said free throw, Jamba, Brooke. And so everyone knew. And so they were like, are you nervous? Like, it just was like a powder keg of fear in me. Like everyone I saw was like, are you ready? Are you nervous? I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got it done. It wasn't pretty, but we got it done.
Yeah. You did great, Brooke. The only thing that matters is getting those three in the allotted amount of time. And however long it takes, however close you are, if they don't say anything, you did it, Brooke. So yeah, and you're exactly right. Like you don't know how difficult it is to be in front of that amount of people doing some kind of test of strength or skill or endurance or whatever it is. Like that's a tough place to be. And also, too, because you also know that if you didn't get that done, you are going to get booed unmercifully. And the number of people who are going to be like, hey, thanks for the Jamba, Brooke, that number would have been 50 times more if you had not gotten it, because you'd have people jumping out of windows being like, thanks for nothing, Brooke. So
that's all I was thinking about.
That is harrowing. And you went and you did it. You got it done. That's the important part, Brooke. And that's
what I want to add. Now I completely have a new appreciation for the people that do not understand tic-tac-toe when it's happening. Because when you're out there, your brain is not working.
It's just gone. Like
I get it. Like I just throw one down and go and shoot a layup. I don't care where it goes. I just like want to I understand like when you're in front of that many people. And it's so funny because someone said this to me. They're like, yeah, but you like, when you're reporting, you're talking to way more people at home. I'm like, it's so different.
Yeah.
When I'm just looking at a camera, it's like, I'm just used to that. Like, it's nothing. I don't think about
you're a pro. So yes, like when I'm doing the part of my job that I'm a professional at, I'm not concerned about it because I've had the reps. I've done the job for years. I'm a pro at this. Like, yeah, Dame's not nervous stepping up and shooting free throws because that's what he does. Yeah. If he had to get up and do a stand-up, I guarantee he'd be nervous about, well, maybe Dame wouldn't, but most people would. So like, it's when you're doing something that's not your expertise in front of a ravenous group of people. Yeah. Like that is more concerning. You're exactly right. Like, yeah, I mean, the podcast, we have a fair amount of people that listen to the podcast, but we're just recording it with ourselves. If there was a group of people watching us, it might feel a little bit different, which is a good way to remind you that on May 22nd, we will be doing a live show at Spirit Mountain Casino. Brooke and I are recording a live edition of the Blazers Balcony at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sportsbook. It'll be a great time at their Sportsbook.
I know. I thought that.
That was just because I can't talk, but it's actually a good turn of phrase. Come out May 22nd. Listen to the podcast. Be a guest. Heckle us, get in some gaming, stay the night at Spirit Mountain Casino, Highway 18 and Grand Ron, elevate your game. It's going to be a great time. I think the playoffs are still going on at that point in time, so maybe we'll be able to watch a playoff game together.
My dad and I were laughing at this. We always go to Orcas Island, in the summer, in June. And it's always, we laugh because he's like, can you believe that when we go to Orcas, that will be when the finals are? Because I always leave my family to go to the city of Orcas to go downtown and watch the playoffs because we don't have TVs in our cabins. And so I will leave to go watch the playoffs. And it's like, yeah, it's in June. Like the playoffs go on a long time.
They do.
Like it's crazy. So yeah, May 22nd, that won't even be the finals yet. We'll go watch them together.
Yeah. So come on out, Spirit Mountain Casino, May 22nd. More details on time, but we will be out there at the Sportsbook, talking Blazers, talking NBA, having a good time, having a few drinks, having a few delicious Spirit Mountain eats. It'll be a great time. Please come out. It'll be awesome. You will not regret it. Spirit Mountain Casino, Highway 18, Grand Ron, May 22nd.
I used to have a billboard out there. I don't think I do anymore.
Yeah, no, your billboard's gone. I think, yeah, exactly. It's which again, I think we talked about that. I am very curious to know what happened to that because like it was probably like 10 feet tall. You think like you're like you holding the basketball, like.
Yeah,
Cockhead Brooke, like
the body was like also like Dame was much bigger than I was, but we were like out of the billboard. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Yeah, like you were popping out of it. So yeah, I'm really curious where that went because that would be a nice thing to have around somewhere.
Yeah, I would put it on my roof.
Yeah.
My house.
It could be like those people that just leave up those like oversized skeletons all year long. Just like I still have my Christmas wreath on the front of my house, and
I just took mine down.
I took it down last year. I put it back up, and I decided I was like, it's staying. Like that wreath is staying there until the elements or some industrious thief decides they want it. It's staying. I'm not taking it down anymore.
Which wreath did you have?
Like, I bought it a few years ago.
Oh no, I had the Blazers one. Remember?
Well, no, you had the Chris Murray wreath. No, I just buy the wreath from the I don't know if it's Kiwanis or whatever, one of the Odd Fellows Club. I don't know. I buy trees here in North Portland, Brooke. I keep it local.
Well, I keep it local too.
I know that. I didn't mean it that way. It was just I literally I buy a tree and walk it home. Like that's how local I do it.
That is very local. Yeah. It was funny because my dad was like, "Are you going to take this down?" I was like, "I don't think so." Like it's been literally, it's May.
Yeah, it is May.
At the beginning of December, but it still looked great and it still smelled good. Like it was wild. I'm like, how is this possible? But I finally cut the cord and I took down Chris Murray wreath, which was really sad. Chris Murray Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
It's really funny. I think that's just so clever. But took it down. It was a sad day. Can't wait to see what they come with next year.
Well, transitioning from taking down old Christmas decorations to the end of the Trailblazers season, Team did have exit interviews on Thursday, end of season interviews on Thursday at the practice facility in Tualatin. 10 players, Joe and Tiago, all talking to the media, taking questions. And my biggest takeaway, Brooke, was, particularly from the players, was that they all felt like it was a really important season to them. A lot of guys mentioned they thought it was a special season and it really meant a lot to them. Multiple guys were like, this is a season, I'll never forget. And I think, for some good reasons and some bad reasons, but, a season that really kind of meant something to a lot of these guys. They all, almost to a man, talked about kind of the camaraderie on the team and the relationship they had built. And also feeling like, we did some good things. We wish we would have done a few things better, particularly in the playoffs. A lot of guys talked about like, we could be up 3-1 right now, which is, there's some truth to that. But I just thought in general, a real good vibe from the team at exit interviews. And that's not necessarily always the case. Sometimes, when the season gets done, there's a sense of like, well, we really don't know what's next and like who's going to be here, who's not. Like, I'm upset about the way the season ended because I didn't do X, Y, and Z. But it really seemed to me that everyone kind of came away from the season, at least my take from exit interviews, feeling like they really got something out of this year and that it meant something to them and that they really felt like there was real progress that was made this season. And again, I don't think that necessarily I always feel that way after exit interviews. Sometimes it's more like it's guys kind of like, they're like, I'm just glad this thing is done for the most part. And it didn't really feel like that to me. It felt like guys were more like, boy, I wish we were still playing. Like I wish we were still out there. And when guys feel that way, it's because they generally like playing with each other and feel like they're growing and getting better. And when the season kind of ends in a slog, sometimes it feels a certain way at those exit interviews. But I think with the way Portland's season went, the way the last 2 months of their season went, making the playoffs, winning the play-in, winning those games to even put themselves in a position to be in that play-in. I just think that they had a real appreciation for what they were able to accomplish this year and really kind of judged it in a way that felt positive to me. And so I thought that there was a lot of good stuff to come out of those interviews. If you didn't watch them, I would absolutely, advise you to go to trailblazers.com, either the website or the YouTube page, and watch some of those interviews. I thought a lot of guys had some really interesting comments in there. And it just felt to me like a real nice way to end the season, nice send-off for these guys. Everyone, again, seemed like supportive of each other and happy for the way the season went and optimistic about things going forward.
No, I felt the exact same way. It was like light. It wasn't like, doom, like the season just ended. It was, we should have done better in that first round. They, like you said, they didn't say they thought they could have come further, and I believe that. I understand that, because those games were in control at one point. But at the same time, it was like, which I loved. It was like, I'm looking at the season as a whole. Like from beginning to end, the adversity that they faced. In many different ways, and they always just seem to fight. Like they play for each other, and I know that kind of gets thrown around, that term, like we play for each other, but it was brought up. I mean, every other walk-off interview, I swear it was. I play for my teammates. It's my job to get answers out of these guys in walk-offs, and it was. I've joked about this before, Denny in particular, but all of them. You ask them about their personal performance, and it always gets brought back to couldn't do it without my teammates. And the camaraderie that they have is, you and I are there every single day. Like we see it. We see these guys, joking back and forth, their handshakes. They just really enjoy each other and they really root for each other. And so I think that really helps in terms of like when you're kind of putting a bow on the season. Like, well, I mean, I was out there with my best friends, trying to get something done, and we really made strides. And I think that that's something that you and I saw firsthand. And I think, fans all saw it too. But like you and I really since we're in the midst of it, can see like this is truly like a great locker room. They really just root for each other. And I also loved what Donovan said about how he was a Rob fan growing up. I've loved that relationship. This is like the biggest thing I took from those exit interviews was that for me, I just loved hearing that. It's like I found it adorable that Donovan was a Rob fan growing up. And now can you imagine someone that, plays the sport that whatever you do in your life, someone that you look up to, that all of a sudden becomes your like essentially like your mentor, like right, like immediate mentor, and like how cool is that? And couldn't ask for a better one in Rob, again, my MVP of the series. So I loved the way they talked about each other and just the season as a whole. And it wasn't in a disappointing way or a disappointed way. It was more like we're proud of ourselves for what we were able to do. And I liked it. It was a good feeling. It wasn't like, again, wah wah, we, season's over. It was like we got some stuff done. And I go back to that playing game where it was just like that was like it encapsulated the whole season to me, where they have something to play for. They got to get it done, got to get that 7th seed, and they figured out a way to do it. And I walked after listening to all of that, I felt like these guys are, again, still dialed in. The season's over, but they're still dialed in, and they're already thinking about next season and what can be accomplished, and just really proud of them.
Yeah, and I kind of asked a couple questions about their expectations going into the next year, because I was kind of curious if anyone's going to be like, hey, now that we've kind of set this baseline for ourselves, it's like we need to build on this, and multiple guys basically said that, which I thought was great. Yeah, I was just going back to look. I thought he said this, but I don't see it in my notes now. But I feel like Donovan also said that like this was the best year of his life. I think like, and I was like, oh, like a nice thing to say. Like someone at some point in time, I thought it was Donovan, but maybe I'm wrong about that. But it was someone was like, this was like one of the best years of my life. Which again, like considering kind of how hard and long a season can be, and the stuff with the Chauncey and so on and so forth, and then an ownership change, and like there's just a lot of things that could have gone sideways with this year, and it seems like they Tiago and the rest of the staff really kind of kept these guys together. That was kind of one of my main takeaways too, was every single guy to a man was like, Tiago did a great job. We really appreciated what he did. Like he got thrust into a really difficult situation, and he really dealt with it well. Matisse called it a grenade. He's like, when someone passes you the ball late in the shot clock, it's a grenade. And he's like, he kind of caught a grenade like this season, but he really dealt with it as well, which I thought was a really nice way to put it. And also a guy like Matisse, again, like there's guys in this team, and I won't name them all, but there's guys in this team where like they're pretty honest guys, and they're not going to say something they don't believe. Like they might not tell you what they think, but they're not going to shine you on about what they think either. And Matisse is one of those guys. Like sure. Matisse is not going to be like, he's not going to say something just because it's what he thinks he's supposed to say. He's only going to say it if he actually believes it. And he was one of the guys who was like, I thought Tiago did an awesome job. And again, to a man, it was like he really like helped us. He's a former player, like, so he knows what we're going through. Felt like he really kind of understood kind of the situations that we're in, and we understood kind of the stuff that he had to deal with as well. So I thought that was great that there was an admission there from kind of both sides. I thought Tiago was great too, like him even coming in and like taking the mic and like moving it off the stand and like holding it himself. And I was like, he hasn't done that all year long. So you could tell he was like, I'm finally comfortable now. Like I'm finally like, I can take a breath after, basically like holding my breath for the last six months. So I thought that was great. And I also just got a sense too that I think I might've already said this, but just that a lot of guys felt like they gave the impression that like, this is like the start for us. Like this is not like we fought to get to this point. We did, but this is our baseline now. This is where we feel like we need to start now. And now we need to improve. And we feel like there's a lot of ways we can improve. And so I felt like everything I heard at exit interviews was something I thought was a good thing to hear. And again, and like valuable too, not just like, we fought our hardest and did the best we could. And like there seemed like a real sincerity to me in exit interviews that, again, I don't necessarily always think is the case. And I don't know if it was, so last year we did them like right after the game, which is like, that's a hard time to do an exit interview. They initially were going to do it on Wednesday, but the team got back so late. I think they're like, yeah, let's maybe wait a day, which I think is the exact right thing to do. Like let everyone kind of like take a breath and reflect a little on the season before sitting down and being asked by media to reflect on the season. And so like to do that, to like just have just a chance to take a quick breath before going back and emptying out your locker and saying your goodbyes or your see you laters and so on and so forth. Like, I think that that's the best way to do it. And they did it that way this year. And I think it resulted in a really positive, useful exercise. And that's, I guess, the last thing I would say is that I don't feel like exit interviews a lot of times are especially useful because, again, guys, it's still so raw. You just got done with it. This year, to me, it felt like this was actually, I think the players got something out of this, and I know that media got something out of it as well. So I thought it was a really nice way to end the season, and again, just a good sign of things going forward.
And just to add on to your talk about Tiago, I thought, and I reposted, I thought his speech to the guys after Game 5 was just perfect. The way he said, and he said this to us a couple times, like, I don't know if I have the, speak English well enough to find the words. And, he said that a couple times, but when he said that, I loved it.
One of the things I've noticed about Tiago, and I always find it really interesting, is he uses words that, like, because what he said there, I don't have the repertoire to like, and I was like, what an interesting word to use in that situation, because as a English is his second or third or fourth language, you would almost think it'd be like you would use kind of like a more dumbed down word. But I've noticed that about you. Like, he uses like the bigger, more impressive words when he's expressing himself. And I don't even think like on purpose necessarily, but it's just like how he speaks, which I've always really found interesting.
Yeah, no, he said it to me a couple times where he's trying to find the word. And I'm so impressed with half our team who speaks numerous languages. Like, it makes me feel terrible about myself. I need to do some babble. Anyways, I've always said I was going to do it maybe one day soon. But he will say that, like, he'll preface it with, like, I don't know if this is the right word. And it is the right word. Like, it means the right word, but it might not be like how we would say it in everyday language. But if he's there, like, he's right. I mean, it's almost literal about it. Like, I'm like, yeah, no, that makes sense. I wouldn't say it like that, but that makes perfect sense. But my point is that he just said everything that, like, I would expect him to say, but it was perfectly said, where he was so proud of them and the things that they accomplished. And, don't look back on this series as, exactly how of course this is how the season ended, but look at it as a whole and how you guys got better. You've always got better. Like, I challenged you, you got better. And I loved it. It was, I got a little emotional watching it, and other people responded to when I reposted it and said, I teared up watching that. I was like, samesies. Like, it was great. It was really nice because, there's obviously a feeling of disappointment after you are knocked out of the playoffs, but you don't want to take anything away from what was accomplished in that whole season, which was really truly a feat. And again, I would also just kind of piggyback what you said, like, and the players, like Tiago, like, what a weird position to be in and to kind of be forced into it, and then to do what he did. I think it's just so impressive, and I know, like, the players agree and people around the league agree as well. And I've been thankful for him because as someone that interviews him every day or every game day, and you and I, in press conferences before and after, he's been great to us. And I've been so impressed with how he just, like, took that challenge and really, in my opinion, knocked it out of the park.
He absolutely did. And the team did as well. Again, a successful season. I think a lot of things to be proud of for this team, a lot of room for growth and a lot of things to get better at, but a really good place to be at this point in time in their maturation. I think that they got everything they needed to get out of this season. And I think probably a little more. I would say the only thing that kind of negates that a little bit is just those injuries to Scoot and Shaden, especially. It would have been nice, particularly with Scoot, for those guys to be able to play a little bit more this season, particularly with each other, because I think so many fans view kind of that pairing as kind of one of the ways this team is going to get better. And so it was just a little bit of a bummer that they weren't able to play as much as you would have liked. But I thought both guys had really nice seasons. And you're right, Brooke, like, just a nice way to kind of finish the thing out. And you're always upset when the season is over, but that disappointment can manifest itself, or the reason for that disappointment can be different things. And when it's like, we're disappointed because we didn't achieve the things we wanted to achieve because we didn't do the stuff we should have done, that feels one way. when you overachieved a bit and you feel like you had your opportunities, but you just maybe aren't there yet, that's when you're like, okay, like I can deal with that. And I think that's where the Blazers are at. So I think, again, just a solid season for this team, a lot of things to be happy about, and a lot of interesting decisions to come in this offseason as well. It should be a very interesting offseason, Brooke. I think a lot of us are expecting that there's going to be a lot of movement this offseason, even though the Blazers don't have a draft pick right now. Maybe they end up with one, who's to say? But either way, I think it's going to be a very interesting offseason here in Portland, and one that I would expect will make the team better going forward. So looking forward to that, but glad that we're able to have a good one here this season, Brooke. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Blazers Balcony. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, a reminder, and I'm going to continue to remind you, May 22nd, Spirit Mountain Casino, live recording of the Blazers Balcony with myself and Brooke at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sportsbook. Should be a great time. Please come out. I'm just going to keep saying sports. Like my mouth can't put those words together without saying Sportsbrook for some reason. So maybe they could rebrand it for that night too. Actually, that would be yeah. Should they did ask what we needed, and I'd be like, so I'm going to need digital signage that says Sportsbrook instead of Sportsbook, and yeah, a few other things as well. So please come out May 22nd, Spirit Mountain Casino. You will not regret it. But until then, please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We will be recording podcasts at various times throughout the off season, so you definitely want to subscribe to get those early and often. Thank you so much for joining us both on this edition and all season long. We really appreciate it. All your support, your comments, your listenership, your viewership. It means a lot to us. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. It means a lot to Brooke. We'll talk to you soon.
Peace out.